Lush Survival is a free and popular survival server which is built using custom plugins. It's on the version 1.17 and it has a whole host of features. The first being land claiming, which lets you protect everything 100% from griefing and stealing. There's also a really cool tree fall plugin which has a simulated set of real world physics which allows the trees to completely fall down and drop to the ground when you chop them down. There's also really awesome player shops which you can create and design your own with and sell any items on the server, which contributes towards the economy, which is strictly fueled by diamonds. You can also fly around in your own claims, which makes it a little bit easy to build and manage things and lets you play your own way. You can also turn off PvP and toggle your status, which is something which is really useful if you don't want to battle other players, which is something which is quite nice if you want to play passively. Now, one of the top things which I'd personally say about this specific server itself is the fact that it's not pay to win. So if you want the same experience as other people on the server, it doesn't matter if you've donated or not, you won't have an increased experience or an advantage over anyone else if you actually choose to donate money. There's also an auction house where you can sell and view other items that people have listed on there, which is another way to contribute to the economy and buy and sell items. What's really nice is the system for inventory and chest sorting on here, which lets you just basically use one button and then you can completely sort and stack your chests really easily without having to do it manually. Oreo MC is a server which has been designed from the ground up with a whole host of custom content, and you can tell it took countless hours to actually create this server. Basically, it's very similar to a lot of servers, but it basically offers a vanilla and survival set of options. There's also support for Java and Bedrock versions, so depending on which version of the game, you can connect on both. Now, what's really cool in this specific server is there's actually a few different sets of plugins which you can use when you're online. For an example, you can teleport to friends. You have death chests, which keeps everything safe from people stealing all your items when you die, and it prevents them from despawning. There's also a land claiming system which lets you manage your home and allows you to add whitelisted players to work alongside you and build inside your claim. The economy uses an in-game money system, and this allows you to gain money from killing mobs, being online, and just generally selling items. The item system is a custom shop which is filled with vanilla items which you can purchase anything you need at. As for the spawn, it's full of activity and it has the set of shops, PvP, and it's generally just a meeting place and hub for everyone to play and get together in. This server uses some pretty awesome plugins, and as you can see, the tree falling plugin is very similar to the last server which I covered. You'll start with a set of items which are fully enchanted stone, and you can get started leveling up skills. Basically, performing any action on the server will level up some kind of skill, and you can invite other players to clans and just generally explore, as it gives you a boat at the start, which is great for just covering ground and going across the world. The Emperix server offers support for Bedrock and Java all the way from versions of 1.9 up to the new 1.7 release. It's basically molded around to make it feel like vanilla whilst adding a few different functions to enhance the multiplayer experience and make it a little bit better than the original one. There's full support for Discord along with a lot of trained staff which are on the server 24/7, and this is all integrated using plugins. The server spawn offers 2 different shopping districts which are well stocked, and it's fueled by items sold by different players. There's also a very vanilla feeling claim system that's not very annoying, and it allows you to work with others. The server has a very active and friendly player base who seem quite welcoming, although obviously, as with a lot of other servers, it can be very click based depending on who you know. This server also allows you to use VPNs, as they don't really mind you having online safety, so it won't disconnect you if you decide to use them. The PvP arena also has keep inventory and no armor damage enabled, and you can warp to it using the command /PvP arena. There's no resets on this server, so as long as it's alive, it's not going to roll back or reset, and you're not going to lose any progress. There's a few different game modes on here which you can select and warp to depending on your preference, and the spawn on the servers are very classical Minecraft feeling, like the old style fashion servers which you'd experienced back in the day many years ago. Especially leaving the spawn, you'll see some really awesome creations like wizard towers, brick factories, random player buildings, and abandoned houses just scattered around the world. It's pretty cool to experience. My favourite game mode has always been Factions, and the reason why I covered this specific one is it's an extremely old server which offers a very classic Factions game mode. It runs a 1.8 server with a lot of features as well as cross-client compatibility, which allows you to connect on multiple versions of the game. This lets you connect on any client that's newer than 1.8 but not older than 1.8. There's a lot of competitive nature in the Factions mode, and this is what the whole server is focused around and designed around in order to provide you with a very similar experience to the classical Faction servers. The staff have been in the community since early 2013, and the server's a very long running project. The server doesn't have a huge amount of slots or players active, but there's enough to make it a pretty fun experience, and it's one of those small tight knit servers which is super fun. After 6 years of the server being offline, the server's back and it's more alive than ever as a project in 2021, originally a server active from 2013 to 2015. If you like Factions and you just want to get stuck in and go into the wild and build a base and get competitive along with a few friends without having a server that's way too crowded, then this is a pretty good option for doing so. Probably the most wild game mode in all of the game is Anarchy. If you hear of the Anarchy game mode, the first thing which pops into your head is probably 2b2t, which is the most popular of those servers, which unfortunately is usually full, and it has a crazy number of players always active, making it extremely hard to actually get into the server, resulting in you being in a very long queue and having to queue skip by paying to get into the server. Well, you won't have that similar issue on this server, fortunately, but things are a little bit different. SimplyVanilla is a survival anarchy server which is a little bit different to 2b2t in the fact that there are actually a few rules. For an example, you can't use any cheats, exploits or hacks clients, which is a popular reason why 2b2t is actually really popular, as most people actually cheat on that server. You also can't do major griefing, and there's no spam or advertisement allowed on the server too, as well as toxicity and farming AFK being rules too that you have to follow and not do. This server is a lot more rule intensive than 2b2t, but when you join the server it's a very similar experience because everything is just completely obliterated and destroyed. As you can see, I had a lot of fun exploring these crazy caverns which have been absolutely molded and cut out into these huge big empty caves, which is surprisingly done without hacks or cheats. od.dg is a server which is mainly referred to as Odyssey, and it's a server hub world with multiple different game modes, the first being prison mode, Skyblock, Townie, as well as a current work in progress mode, creative, Pixelmon Townie. Now, I checked out the creative hub world on this server and it was super impressive. I'm just going to give you an overview with some music just flying around the server, just to show you the actual spawn. Now, I believe all these creations here on show are actually built by the admins and the team, and all the open grass areas are the areas which players have actually started to build their own things on. As you can see, this spawn city is more unique than anything else I've actually seen, and it's one of the most impressive spawns. One of the reasons why I believe this is the fact that it's actually built upon a myriad of different blending biomes. For an example, this really awesome desert looking palace, which kind of appears like the Taj Mahal, is based off of a Badlands biome blended into a plains biome. There's such a big mix of different things here, like this giant rainbow Bifrost bridge which connects to this big Dracula castle in the middle, which sits on a huge island, surrounded by huge hot air balloons which are dotted around floating in the sky, and crazy big dinosaur sculptures and centipedes erupting from the lava ground with toxic slime flowing in rivers and lakes. It's a really crazy creative spawn which people have built in creator mode, and it's probably one of the most impressive sets of builds. My personal favourite area is this small Japanese city which comprises of small and big buildings, which, if you follow the stone road up the stairs, it leads you to this giant big Japanese castle slash dojo, which is really awesome. There's the server logo floating in the sky which complements all of the different hot air balloons which are dotted around in the proximity around the castle's perimeter. Skyblocky is the self-proclaimed #1 Skyblock server, which delivers a unique Skyblock experience and boasts having different Minecraft YouTubers who play on the server. There's a lot of different content on here like minions, enchants, a set of custom hoppers, fast placement and more quality of life features and perks. There's an active staff team which assists with support tickets and problems, and it runs on 1.17 currently. It's very similar to most of the Skyblock servers out there, but it boasts having an absolutely giant player base of north of 2,000. As you can see, the server's pretty rich and it's very simple to create an island. As you can see, there's a choice between an original island, a standard Skyblock island, and the one which I chose, which was the tropical island. Now, I've played Skyblock before and we played it as a duo team a few months ago on a German server, and it was a ton of fun to play, but since then I haven't played it for a long time. Now, I decided to return to this just to review it, to feature it in this list, and obviously since I was playing solo, I decided just to run through the features quickly and not really commit too much time to playing it, but I still had quite a lot of fun. For an example, the starter kit on this server grants you with diamond armor and a full set of tools which are already enchanted, which is kind of overkill. I feel like it gives you some of the best items already. As for the cobblestone generator, there is actually a skill system plugin, so when you do mine it, you do get XP towards the mining skill, which is pretty cool, although it's quite easy to ruin the cobblestone generator and break it, so you've got to be careful. As for the farm which it gives you on the tropical island, it kind of gives you way too many materials, which seems to be a current pattern here. I'm not sure if this is just the type of island which I picked, which is just an easy island, or if this server just gives you too much stuff, but it literally gives you 3 full farms of different crops: wheat, carrots, and I think the third one was potatoes. But basically it just gives you an abundance of items, making it really no point to earn everything else manually. Mine Superior is one of the most popular hub world servers, boasting around 1,600 players for 1.17.1. It's one of those servers where it's a hub world network which offers a few different game modes. For an example, this is Factions, Skyblock, Survival, Townie, Prison, Creative Mode, and Kit PvP, where you can practice player versus player combat with a set of different kits which you can spawn via commands. This is a USA server, and the spawn is actually really cool. It's basically a fantasy server with different structures like this awesome lighthouse, a big fantasy forest, and a set of boats and galleons which sit upon the dock just on the edge of the server spawn. What's really cool is it's one of those servers where you get this bow which offers as a grappling hook item, so you can just use it to fling yourself across the map just to explore all the builds. This is quite a big distraction for me when I was trying to check out and review the server, because I just used it just to explore all of the builds that the staff team had created, and it was pretty cool until I got stuck in the ground. As for the game modes, you access all of the sub-servers and the modes themselves using a special compass item which shows you the list of modes. For an example, you have Survival Mode, you have Factions, Creative Mode, and a whole host of other ones such as Skyblock, which features island upgrades and quests, and also Kit PvP, as I mentioned initially before, which is pretty fun if you like that kind of thing, along with Prison, which seems to be pretty popular on YouTube nowadays. Now, the Townie game mode offers a host of sub-game modes, so you have Townie Exalted, Townie Abyss, and also Townie Mythic. 2 of these modes are on 1.12, although the Abyss mode is on 1.17.1. When you access this specific game mode, which I'm just going to use as an example, you spawn in a library with a few different mobs which you can use for information, and there's a huge big dedicated tutorial which shows you a set of commands on signs, and it basically just runs you through how to use every command and feature on the mode. This is pretty welcoming because, for an example myself, I have no experience in Townie, which is basically like a city building mode from what I understand, which is something which I haven't really dedicated much time to, so it was really useful to have this information on offer, so I had an idea of what to actually do. What's really cool though is if you can't be bothered to read the tutorial or check out any of the information, when you actually leave, you come out into this really big cave world, which is a giant big tree surrounded by mushrooms and rivers and lakes which sprout around. You can see things like static bees which are floating around as well, and giant big bridges illuminated by lanterns. This is a really cool magical fantasy build. Another hub world style server, Arcon HQ, offers a whole host of modes. the Factions mode, the Survival mode, which it shows you the number of players in each box so you can kind of gauge an idea how many people are playing on it. There's also a features box which runs down each and every single feature and mechanic which is involved in every single mode. The Skyblock mode's broken down into Chaos, Genesis and Origins, and there's also a robbery mode which I found quite unique, which I'm going to showcase a little bit later. Basically you sneak through the town stealing items which you can sell for cash and use to upgrade your tools and gear whilst you avoid going to prison. The Outlands mode's pretty cool. It basically simulates survival games like Rust where you have to gather loot and survive and build and expand your own base whilst finding guns and vehicles and defending from different raiders and soldiers which spawn across the game. This is a PvP based mode which is pretty exciting and unique. As for the prison mode, this is basically the mode where you have to mine yourself to freedom and you can have gangs, weekly prizes on the mode along with custom pickaxes and enchantments, and prestige mode along with prestige mines and crystals. The robbery game mode functions by using a custom resource pack, so there's no need to actually download any mods or any other custom content. All of the items and blocks and appearances just function through this, which automatically downloads to the client. There's a whole host of multiple cities which you can explore, and basically it runs you through a small tutorial and it tells you how you can obtain items and sell them, and you can access bonus upgrades from the shop, which is a mall in the city on the server. One of the most popular hub worlds is Manicube, which features Skyblock, Creative Mode, Parkour, Factions Mode and much more. It has around 1800 players and I've featured it before. There's Survival, an Olympus Mode which is Battle of the Gods, a kit PvP mode for competitive PvPers, and an Islands mode which is a pirate theme just like Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm going to personally cover the Olympus mode which features Olympus Prison alongside 2 different realms you can join which have different sets of rules and features. Olympus is basically a Greek god styled game mode and it was quite confusing for me, but there is a tutorial showing you exactly how to play. Now there's not really too much to say about this because it's still quite confusing, but I can show you some footage on screen which runs down all the features and it shows you everything in game. As you can see, the custom resource pack and server plugins have a completely brand new interface which shows currencies and information like health and mana at the top of the screen for the player. On the right hand side there's also a set of stats and information which shows your mining level, achievement score, rebirths and slight other features on the server which can be read on this panel. There's a few different worlds and dimensions on here like Hades Underworld and the main dimension, and there's different drops and upgrades.